Hello there, fellow citizens of the internet. My name is Moses, and I've been watching lately a lot of videos, typically young men and women who are having this, I want to call it a quarter life crisis almost. And either A, it centers on the lack of really intimate relationships, whether romantic or otherwise, or career, centers around career or lack thereof. I'm gonna turn my car off for a second. So I just decided to make a quick video, relatively quick, and address the idea or the issue of being in your late 20s, even early 30s, and not necessarily having a career, and what that looks like, what that means, and probably most importantly, what it doesn't mean, right? So let me start with that first, right? Excuse the hair and all the stuff. I ran into these like small black rubber bands at the store. Well, I went looking for them, and I got bored while I was at home. So this is the result. So I am 27 years of age, and I do not have a career. And here's what I mean by a career. I do not have a steady line of income, a steady source of income, while as a result of doing something that I am passionate about or extremely talented in, that I can do for a very long period of time and be compensated for it. That's what I mean by a career. And the way that I have been sustaining my lifestyle, I have a very simple, not too expensive lifestyle. I think all my bills put together come to about 1350 a month. Right, I'm very frugal, decently frugal, super chill. I don't spend money on things that I don't necessarily need, although that's not the case all the time, right? Sometimes I do indulge, but so for my first year after college, all I did was drive for Uber and Lyft. I loved it, made a decent amount of money in it with it. And like I said, it does not take a lot to sustain my lifestyle, right? So that for me was plenty. And then a year after that, I started doing photography, some side gigs, and I had small contract work here and there as an independent contractor. And last year, 2020, I got into acting. Not too deep into it, but consistently looking for gigs enough to like I said, sustain my lifestyle. And this year I have no idea what I'm going to do, but so far I decided to go back to some online school, and add some more tools into my toolbox per se. So I found this course through Coursera that is taught by Google employees. It is a Google certification program. So I started and finished the IT support specialist Google certification program through Coursera, and now I am about halfway through the data analytics professional certificate through Google as well. And this one is coming relatively easy for me. I mean, both are coming relatively easily for me, because I did a lot of computer science and data. I took a lot of computer science and data classes in college, but I don't have a career, right? And I am totally fine with that. It's not something that I'm trying to go for. It's not something that I'm striving for. A regular, steady 9 to 5. right? So if you are someone that is, don't get me wrong, I would like to find something that I'm so passionate about that I would love to do day in, day out for a very prolonged period of time. I'd love to do that. I'd love to find something that I can do that way. But I haven't found one yet, right? So perhaps that is why that I go from job to job or gig to gig or different lines of work. Perhaps is to find something that I'm like, you know what, I can actually see myself doing this for a long period of time. I haven't found it yet. So for those who are perhaps around my age range, late 20s, early 30s, and you feel like you don't have a career yet, that's fine. As long as you manage to live below your means, right? Do not try to appease anybody as far as looks, right? If you can't afford a Gucci belt, do not buy a Gucci belt. If you're gonna spend some money on your Gucci belt, sell that $1,000 cell phone that you have, right? Make compromises. So yes, do not try to live a lifestyle that you cannot afford. And if being humble, quote unquote, financially, is not your thing, then make compromises, right? So, anyways, if you are the person that you are in your late 20s, early 30s, you do not have a career. Take a minute to understand the implications of that. If you're beating yourself upside the head, it probably means that you see yourself as a failure, right? As a failure comparing in comparison to something or someone or society as a whole. So take a minute to reevaluate what failure means to you, right? If you compare, there's a pretty funny story that I think is Jordan Peterson that was talking about it. He was telling a story about this guy that came to him for help, right? He was beating himself upside the head for being a failure, and he used his ex-college roommate as an example, right? I mean, for comparison, right? Like my ex-roommate, my college roommate, he's so much more successful than I am. You know, he's doing this and this and that. And Dr. Peterson asks him, who was your roommate? And that roommate is Elon Musk. So, like, WTF? Like 99.99999% of the world compared to Elon Musk, we're all failures, you know, at that. If we're gonna use the extremes as examples to compare ourselves to. So take a minute to understand who you're comparing yourself to, what you're comparing yourself to, and how you define success. And that might help you reorient yourself in a way that, yes, you can still take the necessary steps forward without constantly feeling like a failure. Because if you constantly feel like you are a failure, then the motivation to take that smallest step towards success, however you define success, might even be impossible, because you're going to be in this constant down stage where you just don't even want to put your best foot forward, because your best foot forward does not come near what someone else is doing right now. So, to keep this really short, I think, I don't know how long this video has been going on, is to say, if you are in your late 20s, early 30s, you do not have a career, that is okay. Understand that. Really understand that. It is okay. As long as you start to make a reasonable plan. It can be as simple as saying, I'm going to enroll in an online class on something, right? Or I'm going to get I'm gonna start Ubering, right? I when I Ubered, I think I Ubered for about a year and a half here in Los Angeles, and I am not exaggerating this. If you run into an Uber driver, confirm this story with them. I'm most likely sure that they're gonna have something similar to share. Is I ran into a lot of people from various lines of social economic statuses. Some had all kinds of cars, all kinds of houses, vacation houses, and stuff like that. Some I would be picking them up and taking them to their third job of the day. It's literally that those types of extremes you run into on a daily basis as someone that's in the public service, right? That's dealing with a lot of people, and nearly all of them, nearly all of those that shared their personal issues with me, had similar problems. One, relationship problems, whether romantic or otherwise. Two, financial problems, right? Whether with themselves or with the people in their lives. So those are one guy. I remember he was complaining to me that he had to hide his Tesla from his son because his son would just drive it all the time, and he just didn't want his son to get into an accident, and that was driving him nuts. Like that was making him like lose all kinds of sleep, like start to affect his work. To me, right, that was not a stressful. That was not something that would cause me that much stress. I would just get rid of the car, sell the car. And I ran into this other guy. This is the other extreme of it. I was dropping him off at a mechanic shop, and I think I asked him why he takes Uber so much, because I mean the distance that I was driving to drop him off, it was a long distance. Good for me as a driver, I get to make a lot more money, and he wasn't an illegal resident, right? So he could not afford to get an actual vehicle legally under his name. So he takes Uber. Now, how he got to register for Uber, that's probably beyond me. So this both polar extremes of this social economic ladder still had money problems, relationship problems, like problems of their own, whether they had a career or no career. So I've also ran into men and women in their late 40s, mid 40s, early 50s who had just switched into a new career, and not switched into a field that has a lot of transferable skills from the previous field. No, it's like one of the questions that I would always ask is this the job that you have always wanted? And if not, what was the job that you always wanted to do? And sometimes people would be like, I've always wanted to be X, Y, and Z, but I just, I never really gonna pursue that. And some people were like, I've always wanted to do X, Y, and Z, and I waited so much, but now I'm in my late 40s, early 50s. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. So if you are in your late 20s, early 30s, you are fine. You're fine if you do not have a career. Just take the smallest possible step that you can take towards figuring out what your career might be. In my case, the smallest possible step was diving into all kinds of different fields and fully indulge in them and see what sticks. See if it sticks. See what works. See if my love and passion for that field is gonna take over. It's gonna make me want to do it in the long term. So anyways, those are my 2 cents. Um, I would love to make some more videos on this, depending on how the public reacts to this. But yeah, my name is Moses. You have been watching this on my YouTube channel, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.